It is absolutely impossible to keep up with all of the query etiquette rules that are out there, and today we're going to try with a really, really tricky one. My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. This very specific comment says that they queried somebody through email, which is the instructions that were given on Query Tracker and on the agent's website at the time, but 3 days later, both of those places were updated to say that they now had a query manager form that they wanted everybody to use, and this author is like, help, what do I do? They've only had my query for 3 days. Do I assume the email is going through, or do I re-query with the query manager form? And this sucks. This is terrible. I am really sorry that you got put in this position, but there is this does, or things along this line can sometimes happen because agents are people, and so they don't always necessarily think through like what this transition is going to look like, and so sometimes like these things happen. Since the agent did not give themselves any sort of transition time, which is what I would expect most agents are going to do, that they're going to like shut down their email for like a week while they transition over to Query Manager or something, like they're going to either like let people know they're going to do something more than this like sudden flip a switch and we're on Query Manager. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe more agents are flipping switches than I think. Whatever. So what I would do in this scenario, if I was this author, I would go ahead and query again with the Query Manager form, but include in the space where you paste in your query letter, include a line that says, I emailed you on X date per the website instructions at the time. If this is a duplicate, please delete. As long as you are acknowledging that this is possibly a duplicate, then the agent is going to look at it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I did read this a couple of days ago. It's still a no and I'm still deleting. Or they're like, oh yeah, I did read this. I'm glad this one came through here. Either way, they're going to see that you are acknowledging that this is possibly a duplication. And if it rings any bells or if it is familiar to them, they know that they're not trying to respond to you twice. You are doing the grown-up adult thing here and communicating. Is there a small chance that they will be like, should have read the instructions better? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They might be cranky that day. They might have not had a good morning, or they might be really struggling with this transition to Query Manager, and so they might respond in a way that is slightly more cranky than you want them to be. But most likely, agents are people. They like authors. They like books. They are not out here trying to find ways to they want to. They'll just be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm glad that they communicated that. That is the most likely outcome here. And I do think that the most likely thing here is that it is going to be a duplicate. I am going to guess, without knowing who the agent is or without knowing any of the specifics here, that the agent is keeping their email open for a couple of days or a couple of weeks to have them overlap, and then Query Manager, while they are learning the ropes over here on Query Manager, because they might accidentally like batch delete a bunch of stuff while they are learning. So they are probably keeping both open just for this type of scenario. And so just communicating and saying like, yes, I see this, I did this, I'm not trying to skip the line, I'm not trying to double dip, whatever, like just acknowledge it. We often give advice to not re-query agents and not be like, oh, I changed one line in my query or I edited my pages a little bit. Should I re-query? No, this gets very annoying when you see the same person coming back over and over again. But listen to what I just said. You see the same person coming back over and over again. The people who are re-querying, the people we are speaking to when we give this advice, they are coming back over and over and over again. And before you freak out, you're like, oh my gosh, I am querying my 7th book and I haven't got an agent yet. Am I one of the... No. You have written a book and then you come back several months or even a couple of years later and you re-query again. You are doing the normal and good and usual and expected thing. Everything is fine. We are talking about the person who queries on Monday and then comes back on Wednesday and it's like, did you read it yet? Why haven't you read it yet? Why haven't you responded? And then they come back next week and then they come back like 2 weeks later and they're like, I actually have a bunch of other books that I think you should read, so please delete that other thing. And they're in your inbox like every 3 or 5 days until they just get blocked. So that's who we are speaking to when we are like, don't re-query agents. We are talking to the people who are like absolutely breaking the rules. This question here and the thing that you are thinking of, you are not breaking the rules. Everything's going to be fine.